Three people holding a camera up to a mirror in 1954. Nobody famous yet. Not really. Jack Kennedy was a senator from Massachusetts, but that's not why you remember him. What gets me about this photo is the camera. Jackie is the one holding it, composing the frame, getting the shot. She was always the one watching, the one paying attention. Most people think of her as the person being photographed. I think this is the photo that actually shows you who she was. And where do you land on that? The next one? Completely different energy. Same year, same city, and she has no idea the camera is there. Head thrown back, laughing at something, hat about to fly off. That's not a pose. That's just a Tuesday afternoon in Los Angeles. Andre Dedines took this at a Will Wright's ice cream parlor in Southern California, a small chain that barely anyone remembers now. He photographed Monroe more than almost anyone else during this period. And what's strange is that in his shots, she always looks exactly like this, completely absorbed in whatever's right in front of her. Like the ice cream is the only thing that matters. The manufactured version of her hadn't fully arrived yet. This is what came before it. The most disruptive actor of his generation. At home with a white cat on his shoulder, reading something. Completely unbothered. Like a retired librarian. This publicity still does exactly what the studio wanted. Two enormous names posed like they belong together. What it doesn't tell you is that Grace Kelly was 23 on this shoot and Gable was pushing 50. By the time they wrapped in Africa, there were stories. There are always stories with Gable on location. Grace Kelly later talked about him in carefully chosen words. In my opinion, she always knew precisely what she was saying and what she wasn't. If you see it differently, tell me. Burbank, California. A Warner Brothers soundstage. A fog machine. Camera equipment you can see in the corner. This is not an airfield. It's a backlot in the San Fernando Valley. Here's what I keep coming back to. The script wasn't finished while they were filming. Bogart and Bergman didn't know how the story ended while they were shooting it. I've read 3 different versions of this, and not all of them add up. But some accounts say Bergman played both possible endings simultaneously, not knowing which one would be used. If any part of that is true, it explains her face in every scene. Texas, summer, 1955. James Dean and Elizabeth Taylor boarding a plane to start filming Giant. She's already a star. He's about to become one. Taylor later said Dean was the most complicated person she'd ever worked with, and she worked with everyone. She said he could go from completely unreachable to suddenly more present than anyone in the room. No warning. Just there, and then gone. Keep that in mind, because the next photo is the opposite kind of story. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Considered a disappointment when it came out. Decent reviews, underwhelming box office. Then television happened, and now it's the one everybody remembers. World War II. Betty Davis handing out autographs and cigarettes to servicemen at the Hollywood Canteen, a club she co-founded in 1942 so that soldiers passing through Los Angeles could get a meal, dance, and shake hands with someone they recognized from the screen. Davis didn't just show up for the photographs. She ran the place, showed up constantly, did the work. One thing that stays with me about this image: most of those young men had no idea what was waiting for them. Davis knew that when she was standing there. She showed up anyway. Roman Holiday, 1953. The dance scene. Hepburn's first American film, the one that changed her trajectory entirely. Gregory Peck later said he knew within the first week of shooting that she was going to win the Oscar, before they'd even finished filming. So he went to his agent and asked to have both their names listed equally in the credits. The male star making that call was not standard practice in 1953. That's the part of this story that tends to get left out. 10 down. The next section gets quieter, and then considerably darker. Stay with me. Bogart and Bacall at home. Benedict Canyon, mid-40s, both laughing at something real. She was 19 when they made To Have and Have Not. He was 44. The studio wasn't pleased about what developed between them on that film, but he left his third wife and married her. He called her Slim. She called him Steve. Private names from the first film they made together. Most Hollywood marriages of that era were some kind of arrangement. From everything I've read, this one wasn't. Me and an old buddy used to argue about couples like this for hours. Always came down the same way. Where do you land? Fire Over England, 1937. The year they met on set and everything fell apart. In the best possible way. Both married to other people. They went ahead anyway. The British press made their feelings known. The film itself is largely forgotten. What people remember is the marriage that followed, and most accounts stop there. What came after, the years that grew darker and more complicated, that part gets left out of the cleaner version of this story. Rear Window, 1954. Hitchcock directing Jimmy Stewart, who the script keeps in a wheelchair, while Grace Kelly stands behind them both. His fixation on Kelly during this period is well documented by people who were on those sets. Stewart apparently understood the dynamic and handled it the way he always did. Stayed professional, said nothing publicly, kept things moving. Grace Kelly left for Monaco 2 years after this. Some accounts suggest Hitchcock never fully recovered from losing her as a subject. I'll go to my grave believing that explains more about his work than any interview he ever gave. And the face in the next photo changes the whole energy. James Bond, asleep in a deck chair on the set of Dr. No. 4 empty beer bottles on the floor. That is the most human thing I've seen all week. Ciro's, Los Angeles, 1955. James Dean and Ursula Andress at a Hollywood night out. Dean was 24 here, still finishing Giant, which hadn't been released. Nobody in this room knew how close the end was. Andress later described him as someone who made you feel like the only person in the room when he focused on you. That kind of presence. And then nothing. 3 men who each believed, correctly, that no room they walked into would ever be quite the same after they left. Singin' in the Rain, 1952. This looks like pure joy. What you don't see is that Debbie Reynolds was 19 and had never danced professionally before this film. Gene Kelly ran her through rehearsals that, by multiple accounts, were genuinely brutal. She later said she cried under the piano after particularly hard sessions, and then walked out and did the take. In my opinion, she outworks Kelly in every number they share. If you see it differently, I want to hear it. Tell me in the comments. Woman of Straw, 1964. Connery 2 Bond films deep. Lollobrigida, one of the biggest names in European cinema. The story goes they got along considerably better off-set than on it. Whether that's true or press agent mythology, I honestly can't tell you. What I can say with confidence is that nobody in 1964 looked more effortlessly at ease on a boat than these two. Bob Richardson shot fashion like the world was about to end. This woman looks like she walked into the wrong room, sat down, and refused to leave. That's not a modeling pose. That's something else entirely. Norman Parkinson for Vogue, 1967. Raquel Welch at the peak of what Hollywood wanted her to represent. What tends to get overlooked is how hard she fought against being reduced to that image. Training in theater, lobbying for dramatic roles, pushing back on the studio constantly. Hollywood mostly said no. In my opinion, that is one of the more frustrating stories in this entire collection. And I don't think it's changed as much as people claim. 20 down, 30 to go. And the ones coming up, they get personal. This property is condemned. 1966. Natalie Wood was 28 here and had already been working in Hollywood for 22 of those years. The film is imperfect, a strange adaptation of a Tennessee Williams play, but Wood in it is something else. She was going through a difficult period personally during production, and what you see in her face in this film isn't standard screen acting. It's more like someone choosing to be completely honest at the wrong moment. She died 15 years later in circumstances that are still unresolved. This one stays with me. Hello, Dolly, 1969. Barbra Streisand was 26, playing a woman in her 50s. Gene Kelly directed this film and reportedly wanted someone older, made his position known. By most accounts, the tension on set was real. Two immovable personalities with fundamentally different ideas about the picture. Streisand won that argument. The box office wasn't what anyone needed. She was right about the performance and wrong about the timing. That's a hard combination to live with. London, 1960. Sophia Loren and Peter Sellers on location for The Millionaire. Sellers fell completely in love with her during this production. Not a rumor, he said so publicly and repeatedly. Loren was kind about it and didn't reciprocate. Sellers was famously unstable in his personal life, and this was, by most accounts, one of the harder rejections he ever navigated. He dedicated a record to her. She was gracious about that, too. 1941. Someone at a swimwear company decided the solution to a bathing suit that rides up is to add a second suit underneath. She looks unconvinced. So am I. The Lady from Shanghai, 1947. Orson Welles, her husband at the time, cut off her famous red hair, dyed it platinum blonde, and put her in a noir that confused audiences and flopped. Columbia's Harry Cohn reportedly lost his mind. The studio had built an entire identity around that hair. Welles was told he'd destroyed her. He hadn't. But it took years for everyone else to catch up with that verdict. East 71st Street, New York, 1960. You can see Hepburn in the folding chair, center frame. This is what the production looks like from outside the frame. Lights, cables, crew, waiting. There's a version of this film everybody knows. The version that existed between takes on that sidewalk. The arguments about the story, the casting fights, the pressure. That one was considerably more complicated. And the woman next to her had no idea her contract was already being renegotiated. Frank Sinatra's 40th anniversary at Caesar's Palace. Barbara. Cary Grant. Dean Martin with the microphone and a drink. That room knew exactly what it was. Yul Brynner shaved his head for a single film role in 1951. Kept it for the next 34 years. Some decisions you just make once. Claudia Cardinale. Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, brought in as a last-minute replacement, then became the reason the whole film holds together. That's how it goes sometimes. John Cassavetes, Jenna Rollins, their son Nick. 1964, Before Faces, before A Woman Under the Influence, before the films that rewrote what American independent cinema could be. Cassavetes raised money for his own work by acting in Hollywood pictures he mostly didn't care about, then pouring every dollar into what he actually wanted to make. Rollins performed in those films at a level most of her contemporaries couldn't touch. They were married 30 years. He died in 1989. She talked about him in every interview after. Not like someone gone, but like someone still in the room. 30 in. Let's shift gears. The next section, the fights get bigger. Kramer versus Kramer, 1979. Both of them walked away with Oscars. What wasn't public knowledge for years is that Hoffman used method techniques on set that Streep considered genuinely out of line. She has been measured in what she's said about it since. He has been less so. I know where I come down on this one. Do you? 3 years later, Sophie's Choice. She learned Polish and German for this role, developed a Southern American accent, and the character required holding two completely opposite emotional realities simultaneously. Before and after. The woman who existed before the war, and the one who came out of it. Alan Pakula reportedly said he'd sometimes set up a take, step back, and realize there was nothing left for him to direct. She'd already found something he couldn't have pointed her toward. That kind of work doesn't come from craft alone. The Sins of Rachel Cade, 1961. Roger Moore, pre-Bond, still figuring out what kind of actor he was going to be. Angie Dickinson, looking like she'd already figured it out and wasn't going to share. Coney Island, 1984. Shooting 9.5 weeks. Rourke at the beginning of a run that could have gone anywhere. Basinger with more control over her choices than most people gave her credit for. She understood exactly what she was signing on for. What happened to both their careers after this is a longer story, and not a simple one. The film got mixed notices at the time. History's been considerably kinder. Barbarella, 1968. Getting touched up between takes in a costume that required genuine structural engineering. The film was directed by Roger Vadim, her husband at the time. Fonda has been remarkably candid in later years about this period and what it cost her. What strikes me here is she looks simultaneously exhausted and completely in charge. Those two things aren't supposed to coexist, but there it is. Charlie's Angels, 1976. The version of Farrah Fawcett everyone remembers. What tends to get smoothed over in the story is how deliberately she walked away from it. Left after one season, gave up the guaranteed money, spent years fighting to be seen differently. The poster sold tens of millions. It was the harder roles she did afterward that she actually stood behind. People always focus on the wrong part of this story. Did you ever watch her later work? Elizabeth Taylor, 1952. 19 years old, 8 marriages ahead of her, 0 of which she had the slightest idea about yet. Red Sun, 1972. A French-Italian-Spanish co-production shot in Spain, featuring a French actor, an American actor, and a Japanese actor, all playing cowboys and samurai against each other. It should not work. It completely works. DeLull and Bronson between takes, both projecting the exact same thing. Total certainty that they are the most dangerous men in any given room. Neither of them was wrong about that. Michelle Phillips and Jack Nicholson, sometime in the 70s. They dated briefly. She later said it lasted 8 days. He reportedly did not count it that way. Speaking of people who saw things differently, 1956. Audrey Hepburn and Mel Ferrer. Both laughing, both bundled into the same oversized coat. They'd married the year before, after meeting in theater. The marriage lasted 13 years and ended quietly. Whatever the difficulties were, and there were difficulties, she talked about them carefully in later years. None of it is visible here. This is just two people on a winter afternoon somewhere, laughing at something the camera didn't catch. Sometimes a photograph is a door into a story, and sometimes it's a closed window. This one, I think, is the second. 40 in, last 10. Some of these I've been saving. Mask of Zorro, 1998. Catherine Zeta-Jones in the role that changed everything for her American career. Virtually unknown here when she got this part. By most accounts, not the studio's first choice. She won the role anyway, made the film work in ways that surprised most of the people who'd passed on her. Won an Oscar 4 years later. First choices aren't always right. That's worth remembering when someone tells you no. The Year of Living Dangerously, 1982. Weaver coming off Alien. Gibson still largely unknown outside Australia. Shot in the Philippines under difficult conditions. For Gibson, this was the film that got him serious American attention. Weaver was already established. Sometimes a project puts two people at completely different points in their trajectories, and it works because of exactly that gap. The tension between where they each were reads on screen. Natural Born Killers, 1994. The film that generated more genuine public debate about media and violence than almost anything before it. And these two look like they're having the time of their lives. Martin Scorsese, 1981. Isabella Rossellini, his wife at the time, on his right, and his mother Catherine on the left, who appeared in several of his films and had a natural instinct for performance that came from no professional training, just from being exactly who she was. Rossellini and Scorsese divorced around this period. Catherine Scorsese stayed in his films for years after. Some relationships just outlast everything else. Marriage on the Rocks, 1965. Sinatra, Deborah Kerr, and Dean Martin. The film nobody remembers from the people everybody still remembers. That happens more often than you'd think. Somewhere in the Soviet Union, 1970s. People dancing in the woods at a weekend gathering. Laughing, living, just like everywhere else. Someone had a camera they probably weren't supposed to have. A Halloween Party. America. Circa 1960. 4 women in masks, completely unaware that 60 years later, someone would still be looking at them. Emma Samms, early 80s. British actress who arrived in Los Angeles and quickly figured out how American television worked. General Hospital, Dynasty. For a generation of daytime viewers, she was just always there. This photo looks like someone who knew exactly what they were doing in front of a camera. The red, the hat, the way she holds the railing. That's rarer than it looks. Julie Egge, Norwegian actress and model, London, 1960s. One of those faces that belonged completely to that decade. You can't picture her in any other era. And that's not a criticism. That's a specific kind of perfection. Kirk and Michael Douglas, father and son. Kirk had a severe stroke in 1996 and spent years relearning to speak. Michael has talked about watching his father fight through that recovery and then watching him get back in front of a camera. When It Runs in the Family came out, Kirk was 86 years old and still doing the work. Look at Michael's arm around him. Look at both their faces. The pride is going in both directions at once. Neither of them is trying to hide it. That's the whole story, right there in one frame. 50 photos. 50 different ways this business shapes people. And occasionally, not always, but occasionally, shows you something true. My question is this: out of everything we looked at today, which one face stays with you? Tell me in the comments.